It's 11 a.m. in the Bay Area, 2 p.m. in New York City, and wherever you are, turn off your Slack notifications, grab a mug of your favorite caffeinated beverage. It's time for a coffee break. I'm Alex Jonathan Brown, Senior Content Strategist here at Iron Horse, and I'm joined today by Monica Benke, Chief Growth Officer at Iron Horse, and Latney Conant, Chief Revenue Officer at Sixth Sense. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Home and are like, he said revenue like a real weirdo there. That wasn't an accident. That's what we're talking about today, and specifically the trends that we're seeing kind of generally in the industry and specifically with some people on this call about the move from CMOs to CROs. And Latney, as I've hinted at, you've just gone through this. Monica, you live in the C-suite. So y'all are the experts on this one. If you're watching and have questions, throw them in the chat. I'll get them into the conversation. But other than that, I just get to sit back and enjoy my coffee. I'm going to let you two kind of run the show here. So the floor is yours.
Thanks, awesome. Alex. Hi, Latney. Nice to see you again.
Hi. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I hope so. I actually went back this morning to read your announcement blog when you first took on the role of CRO, which was 6 to 7 months ago at this point. I wanted to take you back to that moment to start and have you tell us about kind of how that happened. How long were the discussions before that announcement happened? Was it something you had been thinking about, something the business has been thinking about? Like, just kind of pull the curtain back and let us know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, let's go backstage, shall we? So we are a very high growth company, and the reason I share that is I'm not sure every company needs a CRO necessarily, but for us, what had happened is we'd grown extremely quickly. We're now multiple geos, so we were now a global business. We launched products that were multiple, like buying groups or multiple personas. And we also had this huge customer base, and a big part of our revenue plan, 50% of our revenue plan is about growing customers. So we just found ourselves in a place that there was a lot going on, and we were trying to make decisions, and there were a lot of different departments to corral and bring together and get decisions made. And it just felt like there was, like, honestly, a lot of sand in the gears. If you're a high growth company, you can't afford that. Time is money. And so we just felt like, gosh, we need one person who can look over all of this, de-silo things, make the right decisions so we can move more quickly in service of our market and our customers. And so we sort of came to that conclusion, and then we thought, okay, well, who should do it? And we went out and actually, I wouldn't say we did a full search. It was more of a soft search, like what kinds of CROs are out there. And what we found was there are a ton of talented CROs out there, but many didn't have some of the key things that we really needed, which was around the ability to build a partner ecosystem, the ability to create service offerings, and actually have like value-added services that surround our product, the ability to really think holistically about customer experience and post-sale. And so, we just weren't maybe finding, and, we didn't look crazy hard, but we just weren't finding like those strengths. And it got to the place where it was like, okay, maybe I'll just do it. And I was definitely very nervous about it, but I got my mind comfortable, and I got our CEO comfortable, and ultimately the board comfortable around me being capable to do the role because I know the customer better than anybody else.
Mhm.
And so ultimately that's what it came down to. In my role as the chief market officer, I just really intimately knew all of our customers and intimately knew the product and used the product day in and day out. And so, and so, and he who knows the customer best or she wins. And so that was sort of the pitch for why me. I would say the other thing is like the team. We have a close knit team. We have a leadership team that's been together a long time. And so one of my criteria for even wanting to do it is, would the team be accepting of this, right? Would they feel like I could lead them? And so actually I called before I even put my hat in the ring. I was like, I'm going to put my hat in the ring for this. What do you think? Because I don't want to do it if you don't feel like this would be positive for you. So that was another big part of it, is just we have such an amazing team. We want to make sure we keep them together and keep them motivated and are working for them.
It's great. There's so much to unpack there. Thank you. It's interesting. Your very first statement. I can ask you a few follow-up questions because it's your very first statement was not every company needs a CRO, and it's interesting because I've seen a lot of pundits make almost an opposite statement that says every company should have a CRO, but it sounded like your criteria was there is a high growth, so it's the speed at which you want to go, the velocity, and also the complexity, the number of pieces that we're in. Do you have any situations where you don't think a CRO is the right role?
Yeah, I don't love, and I've been on the record saying this, that I don't love for CMOs when they get layered under a CRO that is primarily had a sales path. I think it's challenging.
Yeah.
And so that's the caveat is I think that there are times when the CMO really should report to the CEO. Because if you think about, like, we actually have this revenue creation framework, and there's 6 pillars to what we think you have to be great at to systemically generate revenue. And the first pillar is understand your market. The second is revenue strategy. The third is create demand. The fourth is capture demand. Fifth is manage opportunities. And sixth is grow customers. And so what can easily happen is sales is in a silo managing opportunities. Marketing is in a silo creating demand. And who's really doing the market and the strategy? And those are the things that make all of the others work. And so, hence why when I was running our marketing function, I called myself a chief market officer, because I think that is so important.
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, it's just that part of the equation can't get missed.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was back at Forrester, we had a lot of conversations about CROs, and when we were doing the study, and this was a number of years ago, it started out almost, I always thought of it as a relabeling or a rebranding of a chief sales officer, and I worried about exactly the same thing: is marketing losing a seat at the table, things becoming too short-term.
Yes,
It's like
exactly.
it's revenue for this week. It doesn't think about where is the market going, and thus where do we have to go. And so I'm happy that you've got the same point of view, and I think it's really interesting that and thoughtful in a very good way that Sixth Sense had the insight to see a marketing person can bring all of those really, really critical things to the table and have the process knowledge, like the structure and the process and workflow knowledge to have the sales side of it as well. Do you know a lot of CMOs that have become CROs? I don't know a lot.
I don't think there certainly are some. I don't know if it's the most common path. And I think that, I do think, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat, like, running and making the number is really hard, and so it's no easy gig. And I think that's why often great sales leaders do, earn the spot of being the CRO, because ultimately, like, there's that one metric. Did you make it at the end of the quarter or not?
Yeah.
So I completely understand, and respect that. But yeah, that the balancing and the context switching between long-term and short-term is just, I think, critical to be good at this role. And it's hard.
Yeah. So that was 6 months ago. Fast forward to now, in the role for 6 or 7 months now. What's been the biggest surprise?
What's been the biggest surprise? Probably less surprising, just because I was already in the meat grinder. You know what I mean? I knew where all the, roaches were or whatever. I already knew. And I came with a pretty strong point of view for what I wanted to do, right? So part of when I stepped up and said I would do it, before I did that, I talked about getting the team on board, but I also wrote down, like, what do I want to do? Like, what do I think needs to get done? Actually, what do I think needs to get done? And do I want to do this? And can I be good at this? So those were like, that was kind of step one. And so it's not surprising. Like, I understand, what I'm, geared and want to do. I think that it's been surprising and not surprising how long it takes for things to change. And so I keep telling myself this. It's like mentally I know, but emotionally I don't. And because, hey, like, I've taken lots of new roles over the course of my career. Like, it's a real potpourri of random experiences that I've, like, gathered. And I found that every rando new job that I've taken, the first year, it takes a year.
Yeah.
And so my husband keeps saying, this, it takes a year. It takes a year. But when I'm in it, it's just so frustrating that it takes a year. Right. And so I'm in that right now. And what I found is it's like the analyst curve with the hype cycle. It's like the hype cycle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's I'm so excited. I'm manic because I've got all these ideas and I put the plan together and it's so fun. And then I'm getting everybody rallied and we're starting to do it and stuff's happening and that's cool. And then you get to about where I am right now and you're like, I've been working my butt off and we've done a lot of things. Like, why isn't everything amazing now? And then you start to question, like, oh my God, what am I doing? Right. And then around 9 months, you start to see, like, it's like the popcorn, like a little kernel pops and you're like, oh, that idea is now working. Oh, this idea is now working. You're like, oh, thank God, the corn is popping. And then at the year mark, it's like, okay, now we've got a bag of popcorn. So intellectually, I know this, but emotionally, from where I'm sitting, it's very hard. I'm very impatient.
Yeah. Well, I think your impatience is probably a good thing. Just unpack, if you can, In a broad strokes, what's the org look like underneath you? Do you have like a CMO and a CSO that reports, or like two like senior executives that have those? And what do you do on the operations side? Because that's always been a big question when people go to a CRO model. Do they bring marketing ops and sales ops and unify it, or is it still two, or is it half and half? Just give me the kind of the top line of what your team looks like.
Yep. So I have our head of marketing. I have our head of sales. So these are senior leaders. I have our head of customer success, senior leader. I have our head of professional services, also senior leader, our head of partnerships. And then we also have a role called customer experience. And so those are my like direct line reports right now. We actually disaggregated revenue ops previously, and it remains, and I actually further disaggregated it when I first started, because we had gotten into a place where the team wasn't as connected to like their business leader. Like if you think about it, it's like being a finance business partner or an HR business partner. Like if you're revenue ops, you were a business partner to CS, to marketing, to whatever. And I felt like we had lost some of that connectivity. So I actually put the ops people right shoulder to shoulder under their key department for now. And because we just needed to like crank some stuff out, and then we'll see how it ends up coming back together, because there's the ops part and then there's the analytics part. And so I do have a centralized analytics team,
okay,
which is critical.
Yeah, because that's part of the reason why oftentimes people go to a CRO model, because everybody's fighting on the data. It's my data, it's your data, it's not the same. We have to look at the same data.
Yeah. So we have an enterprise data where, my best friend at Sixth Sense is the CIO. So we have an enterprise data warehouse that he helped build, and then an analytics team that really helps me answer tough questions.
That's awesome.
And the team, and they serve the overall team, of course.
Yeah. But it's interesting that you took customer experience. Oftentimes you see that sitting under sales. Was that the way it was before?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It's always been its own pillar, and I would say, amped it up to be more. It wasn't as resourced as maybe I thought I wanted it to be. So we have like resourced it a lot more, because I think that like the customer, like the vision that I kind of rolled out is called 6-dimensional success. And so dimension 1 is actually our digital community and our digital experience called Rev City, because it's the city that never sleeps, and we don't sell software, we sell change. And so we need anybody anywhere in the world to be able to connect with another Rev head in Rev City and learn and grow and sort out their problems using the platform and on and off platform. And so we've already made a big investment in Rev City, and it's really successful, but I want to actually do more with it. I want to have more generative AI. I wanted to combine the knowledge base with it, more direct integration with the product. So that's like pillar 1. And that's a that's a meaty pillar. Pillar 2 is around like professional development. So having true certifications on our product. Again, we're a platform, we're multi-product, multi-persona. And so we've been able to launch 3 certifications, which is great. And then, we'll continue with that. And we just see a market for Sixth Sense. I get asked, who knows Sixth Sense? I need to hire someone. And we started seeing in job descriptions, like people that know Sixth Sense. And I'm like, we need certification, Yeah. Not only, and that also allows our champions to monetize their skill, right? Because they passed the test. So that was a big part of it. And then more around community. So user group, we already do a ton with the CMO coffee talk and the BDR coffee talk, but then, and our in, big event, but we wanted like more user groups that are happening all the time. So that's a big pillar. Professional services. So not just getting you live, but getting you to a result. So how do we, create an outcome coming right out of onboarding? That's a big pillar. Our partner ecosystem. So I've been very vocal about saying, like, I want an $80 million services company that is like 6 cents revenue. Like, that would make me so happy, right? Like, I want big 6 cents practices because I think we sell change. And I think that there's enough work out there in transforming marketing and sales. And we can help generate that for companies. And then the last dimension, of course, is our customer success team. But the CX org is really helping me round out this overall vision and make sure that there's a digital aspect across that whole life cycle and journey, which is so critical, I think, today.
Yeah. I love the fact that sorry, Alex.
Oh, no, go for it. I can hop back in afterwards.
When you were talking about we transform and change marketing and sales, we recently did a study just about to be published, and we were measuring how well for ABM implementation, sales and marketing are aligned. And what we wanted to do is look at high growth companies versus medium or low growth companies. And it's black and white. If sales and marketing are aligned, high growth on ABM as a mindset and a practice and the way that they do it. And when they are not aligned, much, much lower growth. And the data was, we wanted data to say, yes, that what our hypothesis is and what we as marketers know every day, I want data behind it. And it is very much about that alignment and creating change together in order to create growth.
I'd love that. I think that's great. I'd love to see that research. It's like, like, it's not like just alignment so that it's like a better work environment. I mean, it is, but it's also like, these are the numbers that prove that it's key.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Alex.
Well, Latany, both for you and everybody else, if you'd like to see research and blog posts and stuff we've written about it, it's all available at ironhorse.io. Cool. I did my job. But Latany, the question I actually have for you. So it seems like that transition has gone really well for you and for 6 Sense in general. But in the process of doing it, have you seen things that would be red flags if they weren't there? Like, what companies that are maybe thinking about making a transition or like raising the role of the CRO or taking their current CMO and shifting them? Like, what are things that have to be part of that process from what you've seen, or what companies maybe should just stick to kind of, let's keep everybody where they are? Is there anything that immediately comes to mind?
You can't lose the team. You can't. So I think I think that when executives come in or get promoted and just colossally fail is when I call it like organ rejection.
Yeah.
Like, they just didn't take the time, like, they didn't read the room, right? Like, they didn't know who needed to be brought along. They didn't understand like the norms and workings of a company and how stuff really gets done. And so I call it getting in the flow. Like, you got to get in the flow with the teams and how they work. And I think kind of come in without a lot of judgment and more like empathy for what they're doing before you start like barking orders and like throwing out ideas. And so like one of the things that I did is like with one of our groups, I'm like, I'm going to like, I'll be a CSM. Let's go, because that was the area I knew the least about. honestly. I felt like I had the least, like my mind wrapped around it the least. And so, I mean, I was in there day in and day out. And so when people would say, oh, I think we should do this, I'm like, I kind of thought that too, but I'm telling you guys, like, I've been sat in the fort, I actually think this is what needs to, like, so I think it's just, yeah, you got to get in the flow. And like a lot of people say, oh, I want to be strategic and I want to stay high level. And I don't know, that doesn't work for me. Like I get in the weeds, man. I love weeds. I want to see all the dandelions. Cause I think that's how I like process, I suppose.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's great advice. You're going to ask you about some of your advice, and that was one of it. And that's a great piece of advice, and I 100% agree.
Like you want to own a BDR org and help BDRs, like go be a BDR for a
Be
day.
who they are. You bet.
You know, you want to like. It's just, I don't know. I was actually with a friend, and he had a kind of a funny joke. He said, you know, it was about the walk, you know, the proverb about walking in moccasins. And he said, not only the joke, I guess, is not only if you walk in someone else's moccasins a mile, you'll have taken their moccasins and be a mile away. If it doesn't work or something, I don't know. It was kind of cute. It was funny, but
give me your damn moccasins.
Yeah.
Two other quick questions before we wrap up and send everybody back to work. And they're kind of opposite sides of the same coin, or the opposite sides of the same question. If there is somebody that is looking and they look at their company and they go, you know, they're a marketer and we really should have a CRO and it should be me. What would you advise them? And then the other side of it is, I'm a marketer, I'm working with a CRO and I'm not being heard. As a CRO, how does your marketer, you are a marketer, but if you weren't, how would they stay in the forefront of your mind?
Okay, let's take that one and then work back, because now I forgot the first question.
Okay.
I'm dyslexic and I have a learning disability, and it's multi-part directions. So I don't do good with multi-part.
Same.
So first move. I think that the best thing to work with a CRO, if you are in marketing, is one, just be like super, super on top of the pipeline, not just marketing pipeline, but overall pipeline. Because again, think about like end of quarter and how crazy it is and And if I know I can rely on you to be the drumbeat of pipeline and the heartbeat of pipeline and telling me when it's not just telling me when it's good and you did something, you know, but telling me when it's bad and we need to get all over it. And like, because I've already got to run a million different forecasts. So if you own the pipeline and the pipeline forecast and how we're pacing and are super on top of it, it's like, love ya. Big job to be done that you've handled. That would be point one. Point two would be, you need to be in that revenue, the market and the revenue strategy lane. And if you're not invited in there, you need to ask yourself why. Like you're probably not showing up a certain way that they are asking you. And so understanding of ideal customer profile, understanding of competitive intelligence, understanding of win-loss review, understanding of when you win and when you don't win, and the cohorts of customers. Because when you're in those planning modes, you're always thinking, okay, here's how we're going to grow this year, but what is next year? Right. Mm-hmm. And so you're always thinking about the multiple horizons of growth when you think about your revenue plan. And so those are the type of questions that you're asking yourself. And I think a CMO can come and say, hey, I'm seeing this cohort of accounts as awesome. Why don't we add another vertical? Or I'm seeing, and that can create a territory. Because at the end of the day, a revenue plan is just a quota roll up.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Where are we going to build territories? So the good territories so we can have quota coverage.
Yeah.
And so that's the question that's getting asked. So if you can say, hey, I think we light up this segment and I bet we could support 4 territories, or I think we do this and we could support that. Like, then all of a sudden you're like gold to me.
Yeah. Know your audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that the last question, which was the first question, not to be confusing, was if my company doesn't have a CRO and I am in marketing and I think that I am the person, how would you advise that person? How would
Yeah,
you?
I think you need to parlay what you're doing today into like key CRO skills. So if, for example, if you own the BDRs, that's a really like that running a BDR team is like that's just a mini sales type of team, right? With
Half a
like
step
the
in.
activity tracking, the progression, the process. So I think that's a really good, and then their career development. Like if you can prove that you can pop BDRs out and graduate them and have them be successful AEs, I think that's a good like parlay. The other thing is around the pipeline forecasting. Like you have to forecast, and it's hard. And so learning how to forecast on pipeline is, I think, a good parlay into, okay, now I could forecast, retention or upsell or this or that, because it's sort of the same thought process. I would say, like, if you get the opportunity to take sales enablement, a lot of times there's a lot of jump ball. Like if you're in a high growth company, there's a lot of jump balls, like stuff that people are like, we need to do, and we don't have anyone to do it. So just like take the jump balls, like take it. If you have a really strong marketing ops person and you're good at ops, play to that strength and be like, I'll take all of revenue ops and I'll do it for everybody. It's fine. And that's how I gathered experiences, is just picking up things that nobody wanted.
Yeah, that's a
and so just be okay doing that, because all of a sudden this collection of seemingly random experiences puts you in a great spot to understand like a lot of the business.
great advice.
Awesome. I think we are quickly approaching time. I will be our quick mental health advocate. Taking jump balls, always an amazing idea. Don't burn yourself out. Then you're not useful for anybody. Find your sweet spot. But also take those jump balls. It's really good career advice. And speaking of mental health, I hope you have all enjoyed your coffee. Latany, thank you so much for joining us. If people want to learn more about you or the amazing things that you're doing over at 6 Sense, where can they do that?
Yeah, LinkedIn. So where it's at. Connect,
That is where it's
follow, at. DM. Yeah.
And if you're from the Midwest and or not familiar with 6 Sense, it is just 6 Sense. There's no TH in there. Midwesterners, we just add th to everything whenever we can. Monica, I know the answer for you, but if people want to learn more about Iron Horse, where can they go?
Ironhorse.io.
Yeah, it's really easy. We're also both on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody in the chat. I didn't chime in too much because Latany was in there and we got most of the questions answered. So no worries there. But thank you for joining us for our coffee break. We do this about once a month, but until next time, coffee break's over. Let's get back to work.
All right.
Thanks,
all right.
y'all.
Now we're all caffeinated. Thanks, guys.
Exactly.
Funny.